Hey buddy, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a video today, and I was coming up with this concept in my head when I was turning into my parking, or pretty much right before I turned into my parking lot of my apartment complex. And I was just thinking about all these things, like all these certain ideas about society and like how people are judgmental about certain things, and always they try to make the case where there's always some type of cause for anything a person does. And the last decade or so or plus, I've been kind of rebelling against this concept because I think it's just I used to be an overly analytical person about everything. Case in point, like, oh well, this is caused by this woman must be doing this because of this, or what, blah 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 blah. And not everything is as easily attributable to certain things that happens to a person. I don't think you necessarily have to be like always looking at these inner causes of these things happening. And this is kind of what I've started thinking about, like, and it like one of the whole things is daddy issues. Like, a girl or a woman, dates a much older man. Oh, she must have daddy issues. She must have had a daddy that was like neglected her or abused her or something. It's like, how the fuck do you know? Granted, the likelihood of that happening, see, at this point in our society, it's so high. See, this is the problem. The likelihood of someone having issues with their parents or their upbringing is so high with our dysfunctional society that who gives a shit if they had daddy issues or not? Like, a woman could have had daddy issues and have a normal relationship with a guy that's not that much older than her, or not older than her at all, or she's older than him. Who knows? Like, just attributing everything to these one word things, or it's, to me, it's just very disingenuous. And it's also applied to, like, I used to apply it to porn performers, like, oh, they almost have been molested. It's bad. Even though I watch porn, it's bad because sex without like love is bad. I'm a Christian. Like, it's like, that's how I believed like I would be married in like my mid-20s or mid-30s and like live happily ever after. This naivete that I used to have as like when I was a virgin, and like this naivete about society and stuff. But that, granted, like, it's so dumb to say that. How do you know? I've heard of porn performers that just had a total like leave it to beaver, quote unquote. A lot of the younger viewers might not know what I'm talking about, but leave it to beaver, like totally stable upbringing. Now the likelihood, the statistical probability of some of these things happening does go up. This is a caveat. It does go up in these situations. I think more women that date much older men may have more likely. I'm just saying they may be more likely to have daddy issues, or porn performers may have more. Like I'm saying, it's a wash. Like it's a wash. Like, so many people already have those issues anyways. At this point in our juncture in Western civilization, like, everybody has daddy issues or mommy issues or whatever. There's always an imperfect element, especially post 60s. This sounds like a conservative thing to say, and don't get me wrong, it's not. It's like a Pandora's box thing. There's always things that open up. There's always a benefit to women's liberation and sexual liberation, but there's always a downside too. And our downside, we've seen, with our society, we have these conservatives are half right. Now, the cost of what was happening before, to me, is too high to go back to that. That's my difference between me and the conservative that'll say, well, why can't we live like the 50s with a stable nuclear family that's a man and a woman? I'm against that, but I'm also acknowledging that in our history, the liberation that happened, whether it be sexual or, women's liberation, has caused some side effects that people don't want to talk about. It's kind of like something else that people don't want to talk about, the side effects of certain things that have been implemented in our society, like the last 2 years, which I won't, people don't want to talk about that. I'm acknowledging that it's an issue, Justin Bieber included, in my opinion, but I'm not going to go into that in this video. And I'm not saying that it doesn't help with, dying or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, I believe both sides of that argument, So, and then there's other stuff, but I'm not going to go into that in this video. I'm just saying, it's like people don't like to acknowledge things. They don't like to acknowledge both sides of the coin, and that's the problem with these situations. But I do, is what I'm saying. Like in this situation, this circumstance. So when you look at that, of course, more people are going to have daddy issues. And of course, like back in the 50s and, or the mid 60s, even later on and before, people push stuff under the rug, like certain types of sexual violence and domestic violence and stuff. Of course, that happened way more back then. So everybody's going to have daddy issues or mommy issues, or uncle issues or whatever. That's a fact. It's just going to happen. So these people, and this is kind of an attack on myself, because I used to just think, I was just like such a puritanical person back then. Like I was judgmental. I wasn't as judgmental towards people that wanted to do things, that were have casual sex or go through a lot of things. I just, as far as myself, I'm way more relaxed about that now, because I've had casual relationships now. But like, when I was coming up, I definitely was like, that's so wrong. I want to fall in love with a girl after a couple times having sex. That's when I see people that are already, like, are advanced age, that are virgins for that reason. That's why I kind of cringe. Like, I know a few people, or at least, one person that has that attitude still, who's a virgin, is like, wants to get married and all this stuff with the first woman he has sex with and stuff. It's like, it's kind of like in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like about Cameron or whatever. Like Ferris Bueller's talking about Cameron, and like he'll probably marry the first girl he sleeps with, or try to, or it's like, that's like not how things work in our society, because you have to make choices and make mistakes. You can't just go straight. I mean, there are people that do that, but for the most part, people can't just go straight to that, especially in today's society and culture, which is pretty toxic. But so yeah, I don't like this judgmental attitude that I had back in the day. I don't like it now when a person just attributes everything to one thing, like, oh well, she's in porn, okay, she automatically was molested. Or it's more towards women than men even. I mean, it's like this, it's part of this, like, it's almost like this protective, weird, infantilizing thing towards women, like, oh well, she just has daddy issues, oh poor woman, she just has daddy issues, or she's just, oh, she was abused, blah blah blah. It's like it does decrease culpability too, like with, I mean, I feel sorry for Amber Heard. I think she probably did have some stuff happen to her. I'm not denying, like, I'm not going to deny that, but what if she didn't? What if she just had a normal upbringing? I mean, what if everything was actually normal? It can happen. Shit happens. But for the most part, 90% of the time, probably not. But some people can decide to do something like porn, and they had normal nuclear family upbringing, was great. I hear more and more of those stories every day, actually. I read these articles like this woman says, and maybe there's something in her past that we don't know about, but at the same time, so many women have bad experiences with, like, sexual assault and stuff. It's like, how do you divvy that up, whether or not this woman did it because she's fucked up in her head? Now, I have the unfortunate experience of being with someone that definitely was, I had the unfortunate experience of being with someone that was, I believe, hypersexual because of things in their past. And I do know, but the weird thing is, she hated porn. She was like she did not want to watch it. And then the irony is the women I've dated that were like pretty like more normal in a way, like they've like some of them liked porn and stuff, like so like it's really bizarre the dynamics that happen in these situations. But everybody has mommy or daddy issues. It's just part of life. It's just like how we, you know, we're imperfect humans, you know, since the apple got eaten, you know, and or the Marxists think agriculture came in and that's what happened. I don't believe that necessarily, but you know, I'm just saying, like, it's we're imperfect. That's what happens. It's just, it is what it is. So to attribute a behavior to one thing or to one cause, and it doesn't mean that you can't ever do that or can't ever think about that. But think about the attitude of these people that talk about, like, oh well, they're doing a value judgment on someone because they're partaking in something. So like when I know of several people that have age gap relationships, and even someone that has an age gap relationship, I probably wouldn't have do it when the guy's that age, like way up there. Like I probably won't be doing that at that age. Like I'll be like beyond that by that. I predict, because I think I will get sow my wild oats, so to speak, you know, but in the next several years, hopefully. But depending on other factors I won't go into here. But you know, it's like this whole notion that we have to judge people by something that happened in their past, like this is why they do all this stuff. I think the pendulum swung too far into that. So I think it's good to do that in certain situations. A lot of situations it's truthful and it's intellectual honesty, but sometimes it just goes a little too far. Sometimes it just goes too far. It's like, oh, she had daddy issues, that's why she's dating that guy. How the fuck do you know? It's like labeling everybody as sociopath or narcissist or bipolar or borderline. I mean, I saw that in the Amber Heard thing. It's like, how the fuck do you know? Are you a psychologist or a psychiatrist? You don't know. There's one woman that did say that she possibly was borderline or whatever. I'll grant them that, but like everybody's like always labeling everybody and labeling themselves, which I'm going to do a video about next. But anyways, that's all.